I'm Dolores. I was born in September 1971 in Limerick, Ireland. I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm probably known best for my work with my band, the Cranberries. My idea of perfect happiness, I guess, is having a family. My kids, my husband, my mom, and being healthy, and just the simplicity of being healthy and having people to love and who love you. My greatest fear is anything happening to my kids, because I think when you're a parent, you don't really live for yourself anymore, and you kind of live through them an awful lot, and it's a huge, huge fear being a parent. I think the person that I admire the most is probably my mom, because I've learned everything I know from her, and she's a teetotaler. She doesn't drink or anything, never took drugs, and she's just so at peace all the time, and I'd like to be like that, you know. The characteristic that I most dislike in myself is the fact that I find it very difficult to be straight with people about my feelings, particularly when it comes to art. In others, the characteristic that I most dislike is disloyalty and dishonesty. The most overrated virtue is the visual appearance of a human being. It means absolutely nothing, because what really matters is the human spirit and soul. Well, usually I lie, but not with the intention to deceive, but usually with the intention to get myself out of a situation. White lies, you know, not really bad lies to hurt somebody. I think the worst depth of despair is when one goes through depression. Whether the depression is coming from the fact that you're overworking or misunderstood or you're in the wrong place, or whether it's coming from the fact that somebody that you love greatly has passed away and that you don't recognize your world anymore, and that you just can't survive without their existence, and then you become depressed and you think you can't cope. I think it's the worst thing for anyone to go through is depression. But the thing is, we all go through it at some point in our lives. I think my greatest achievement is kind of like probably happened in the first section of my life when I was 18 and joined the Cranberries, and our first single went top 10 or something in America. And just that whole 8-10 years was intense and very difficult. And at the end of it, I had a nervous breakdown and I just became extremely thin and extremely depressed. But the fact that I made it through, and that I can look back at it now and talk about it, and that I survived, it's fantastic, you know. I feel like I survived that, and I can survive a lot more. I'd hate to be in a 9-to-5 predictable job whereupon you go in every day and do the same thing over and over, and there's no sense of appreciation or fulfillment because nothing large is created out of it. I think what gives me the most satisfaction is when I create a new piece of music, a new song, and it just sounds fantastic. And usually it's kind of like at midnight when everybody's asleep, I come out here and all the kids are sleeping and I just start writing. And it's because I can't sleep because I can hear a melody in my head. And then when I record it and I hear it back, it's extremely satisfying. So basically my art. My one favorite food has to be garlic. I eat an incredible amount of garlic and it's frightening. But then I have to go down the garden, grab a lump of parsley and start eating it like a cow because nobody wants to talk to me because I stink. My favorite sound, there are completely two sounds. I love the sound of a playground, kids running around and playing in the distance. I love that. And my other favorite sound is complete silence. I guess if I came back as a thing, it would be a flying object. I'd like to fly. I think everybody'd like to fly. Maybe a butterfly or a bird or something. I think I'd probably come back as an angel, and I'd like to guide people or guard people, other people going through similar experiences in life, and whisper in their ear and kind of give them ideas of how to deal with things. I think probably John Lennon, because I admired everything he did, and he was such an amazing spirit, I think. He was really into the concept of peace and love, and he was just an amazing being, and I guess only the good die young. Since I was really small, I always wanted to be a singer because I started singing when I was probably 4 or 5 years old. I was the youngest of 7 children, and it was a way that whereupon I could walk into a room and I could just get so much attention when I started singing. I think my most treasured possession are possessions. And as I said earlier, like my family, my kids, my husband, And we've had that discussion where my husband would often ask me if we had an accident and we were all floating around in the ocean, would you grab me or the kids? And I'm like, of course I'd grab the kids, are you nuts? I'm happiest right now. You know, this is probably the most perfect point in my life. Being 32 years old, it's, you know, I think your 30s, it's a nice age where you stop worrying about trivia things. And I have beautiful children, and my marriage is absolutely, the ball is still rolling pretty good there. And, you know, I don't think things could be much better. Spiritually, I get a great feeling inside a very quiet old church, all on my own. So I often just go into small, very old churches, and I sit there and listen to the silence. I left the Cranberries 12 months ago, and I decided to pursue a solo career. And I've been writing a huge amount and collaborating with some artists that I've always admired, such as Angela Badalamenti, who's a writer who did Twin Peaks and some amazing work. And it's nice now that I'm older that I can pursue personal ambitions. And that to me is a challenge. I'd love to make music for movies more than anything, you know. And what I really loathe the most is child pornography or child slavery or child prostitution. I hate that. Taking a break and doing something like just heading out on a boat, just, you know, relaxing. I think what really influenced my profession was just sheer obviousness. It was like the only virtue that I thought I had as a kid, you know. I could sing like no other. Probably my most obvious characteristic is that I'm very open, and I have a kind of a naivety. I actually ran away from home when I was 18, and it was the hardest thing I ever did because I was really close to my mom, but I had different ideas for myself. And I ran into Limerick. It wasn't too far. It was only 8 miles in the road, but with that, I stuck with the Cranberries, and we got a record deal then from Island Records, and our first album was a big hit in America. I think that was a big fork and a turning point in my life. I've always been a big believer in karma. I've always believed that, you know, what goes around comes around. I believe in the truth and that it will always come out, you know. And people who are unkind to others or who go after things for, you know, untrue reasons, they're just going to end up being hurt themselves. So, and another thing that I've always kind of believed about life is that good things come to those who wait.